Hi everyone, Vickieverlie here. Today we're going to do the weekly reading from the week of the October 8th through the 14th when we have the new moon solar eclipse. This is going to be a bonus reading that I'm putting out for everybody on the main YouTube channel, but normally this is what I do just for my Patreon supporters. So if you like this kind of reading, you can get this done every week through Patreon, and it's $5.55 a month for a reading every single week. Okay, so here's what we do. We go over day by day and just kind of do a brief overview of the astrology, and then we throw cards for each sign and maybe a little bit more astrology. So we're starting out the week with the Leo moon, and then we also have Venus going into Virgo at 9:11 p.m. Eastern time. The planet-to-planet aspect for the day is going to be the Mars square Pluto from Libra to Capricorn. So if you have placements there, this is going to be a big event. This Venus to Virgo is also a pretty big event too, because Venus has been in Virgo, I think, since July or something because of all the retrograde. So big shift of energy right away, kicking off the week. The Mars square Pluto can be a little bit of a, people can be tested or testy. There could be a little bit of locking horns kind of things. But for overall, it's a way to move things forward and make things happen, because squares make things happen. Okay, on the 9th we have a continuation of the Leo moon, and then on the 10th we have Pluto going direct after a very long time as well, being in going retrograde. I think for many months too. It might have even been since June or July or maybe even earlier spring, but it's been a very long time. Actually, I can tell you right now. And we're kind of casual over at Patreon, too. I always tell them, you guys are my incubator, because I kind of try out new things. Yeah, it was since May. Pluto was retrograding since May. It's finally going to turn direct. 9:10 p.m. Eastern Time on the 10th, 10:10. And we're also going to have Venus opposed Saturn at 2:11 a.m., a planet-to-planet aspect, 1 degree of Virgo and Pisces. So if you have planets in there, in that range, either by degree or by sign, you're going to feel that impact as well. On the 4th, we have a Virgo moon. On the 11th, I should say, we have a Virgo moon. And then another planetary change. So this is just a big shift. So we've got Venus moving into Virgo. We've got Pluto going direct. And then on the 12th, we've got Mars moving into Scorpio, 12:04 a.m. Eastern. So right after midnight on Eastern time. And we have also the moon will be changing into Libra at 8:22 p.m. On the 13th, it's going to be Friday the 13th, too, on top of everything else. All these big changes, all these big Plutonian things, too, with the Mars going into Scorpio and the Pluto going direct. And then we're going to have Friday the 13th, Mars trine Saturn on Friday the 13th, 8:29 a.m. Eastern. 0 degrees of Scorpio and Pisces. So again, we'll dive a little bit more into that as we do the cards. And then finally, the first, this eclipse at 21 degrees of 08 of Libra, the new moon eclipse in Libra on Saturday the 14th, 1:55 p.m. Eastern, but times will vary. Big boost, big, powerful new beginning that lasts at least 6 months to a year. It's like a new moon on steroids, and it's super powerful. Okay, let's start out. We're going to go through sign by sign and through a couple cards for each sign, starting with the sign of Aries. Well, Aries, this eclipse is going to be in your 7th house. So this is big time having to do with like partnerships and things of this nature. That's your natural partnership. Even if you're not Aries rising, but have just a Aries sun, it's still in your opposite sign, so there's still this element of the other or the partnership. All that Pisces stuff on the 13th, we're going to go backwards. It's going to be in your 12th house. It's going to be coming out of the Saturn in the 12th with the Mars in Scorpio over here in the 8th house. So an old lover could show up again. Could be also some kind of money thing that you have to go back over, like taxes or something like that. If you do your taxes quarterly, you could be, reviewing a lot of that stuff. We're going to have this Venus in the same houses. We're going to have it in the Pisces in your 12th, and then the Saturn in your 6th. So that's always going to be like pay attention to health matters, but it could also be something with the work with the Saturn in the 6th house. Also now in this 8th, the Mars square the Pluto. This is going to be the Mars in Libra in your 7th house, squaring the Pluto up in your 10th. Watch out for like conflicts at work or things like this with bosses. Well, the partnership thing really rings true, and I've threw the cards over, and we've got two court cards. We've got a earth sign court card, which could be Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, and then a water sign court card, which would be Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. Now we are going to be in Earth sign moon through the 11th and 12th. So it could be in this Earth sign moon energy. And then on the 12th, particularly, Mars goes into Scorpio. So that could absolutely be talking about this as some kind of big turning point or big day for you. But it's definitely interacting with people. And it's not surprising when you've got the eclipse in your 7th, because that's other people. Could be more of a feminine energy. It doesn't have to be gender-wise, but it just could be more feminine, receptive, more focused on maybe emotions, feelings, these kinds of things, creativity. But there's going to be people around you, and it's going to be very much a time of interacting with people at this moment. Okay, let's next move on to the sign of Taurus. We're going to pull a couple cards from the Taurus for the Taurus energy for the week of the 8th of October. For Taurus, we have 7 of Cups and news coming on the fire with the Page of Fire or Page of Rods. Well, we do have this fire energy kicking off the week on the 8th and 9th. There could be some news coming through with this fire energy. We're going to have those Leo moons on those days. And even though Mars is in Scorpio, Mars is fire energy. This feels very much related to Mars. This is something you've been dreaming about or wishing on or conjuring in your mind or creating for some time now. And it could be coming to fruition. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear some news on Monday or Tuesday. If you are waiting, or even on the Sunday, but really more Monday and Tuesday. If you are waiting on something, Monday is really, really strong. If you're waiting on something and you've been waiting, maybe a time you might want to reach out on the Monday thing here. The eclipse energy, this is going to be happening in your 6th house, new beginning in the 6th house of work or health. So it's a good time to start some kind of work or health regiment, or make those affirmations regarding those areas. It feels like getting really disciplined and getting down to work and getting your ducks in a row. That's what the guides want to come through with for you. Okay, next we're going to move on to the sign of Gemini. Okay, Gemini, well, anything big happening as far as, well, Venus going into here into Virgo. Let me move this deck out of the way. It's too contrasty. That's a Mercury ruled planet. So Venus is going to go into there. So that could be very much talking about Gemini energy, Mercury energy getting activated. In the cards you have the Ace of Swords next to this 5 of Pentacles. So they're saying a new beginning, a new breakthrough where you thought there was no hope, where you were beginning to doubt yourself or beginning to feel like you have no hope. I feel like this Ace of Swords is definitely because it's air, and it's talking about this eclipse at the end of the week here on this 14th, this new beginning. But it could be also these planets, Venus moving into Virgo, Mars moving into Scorpio. So they're all going to be at like 0 and 1 degrees. We're going to have this Venus opposed Saturn at 1 degree. So it very much could be that as well. I'm forgetting to put out the little cards. Again, this is how we roll when we do it with Patreon. Sometimes I make little errors, but we just roll with it because it's the incubator. Yeah, so new beginnings where you're beginning to have doubt or lose hope. You could see some kind of breakthrough. You could see some kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. Very strong with around this eclipse time frame. That's very strong for you as far as the eclipse. The eclipse itself is going to be happening over here in your 5th house, so definitely major creativity, having to do with love, romance, also having to do with children. So there could be breakthroughs and things all connected in those areas. Next we're going to move on to the sign of Cancer. Let me shuffle up with the Cancer energy here. Well, all these things that are moving, like we've got the Venus moving to Virgo, that's earth. We've got the Mars moving into Scorpio, that's water. So, and Saturn's in Pisces, water. So there's a lot of earth and water energy, which is absolutely more conducive to, in harmony with the Cancerian energy. Wow. Looks like there could be some kind of a contract on the table or some kind of a big coup, they're saying. With this King of Pentacles, he's bringing forward that big pentacle energy, that big money energy. We could be looking at earth sign stuff. So we've got the Venus going into the Virgo earth sign on the 8th. And we've also going to have a Virgo moon on the 11th and 12th. And yeah, the 11th and 12th. Actually, most of the 10th and the 11th and the 12th. We got Virgo moon, so this whole thing with this justice could be showing up. As far as the eclipse, it's happening down here in your 4th house of home and family, so some kind of new foundation could be setting up. Very often the King of Pentacles is big about, you know, setting up these new foundations too. And the Justice card is here. For most of you, it does seem to be attached to some kind of money or finance thing. But it could be attached to just about anything. You know, it could be attached to a new home. It could be attached to some kind, if you're involved in, the guides want to say embroiled in, if you're embroiled in some kind of a legal matter, then this could absolutely be talking about that. But, you know, definitely justice is a very positive card to have in your sector there, Cancer. Okay, next we're going to move on to the sign of Leo. And let's see what we get for Leo. And what we do in the Patreon too, I don't put the timestamps, I just put the little sign, so if you're fast forwarding through, you can spot your sign right away. Let's get 2 cards for our Leo friends for the week of October 8th. And one more wants to sneak out, so we're going to let it. I'm going to put these 2 down. And what's this? The Pentacles, the money. You're getting that money in, coming in too. But these are the 2 that actually were your cards, the World and Judgment. I mean, talk about big stuff, you know, happening. I'm hearing like movers and shakers. That's what the guide said. Well, this is, you know, this whole thing with the Libra energy, this is down here in your 3rd house. So definitely some kind of news. And I'm going to play this just like if it was a card reading. What's the horn pointing at? The horn's pointing right up here at this eclipse energy. Powerful new beginning for everybody. News coming. The world could be travel, you know, long distance travel, things going the distance, travel. Can also talk about Sagittarius or Jupiter, whereas Jupiter is in your 10th house of career. So yeah, many Leos could be making big time strides in the career sector anyways. But something as big is happening. The world is opening up to you. That eclipse is really cracking something wide open. News coming about money in the time of Earth, perhaps, but we having these Earth sign moons, right? It could be the Venus again moving into Virgo, but we're going to have this Earth sign moon for the 10th, the 11th, and 12th. Mostly the 11th, but a little bit of the 10th and a little bit of the 12th. So that could be definitely a key day for something to really open up that maybe will be finally solidified, or you'll make this final decision, or the final decision's coming down by the time we hit into that eclipse on Saturday. Okay, next we're going to be looking at the sign of Virgo. Well, Virgo Venus is going into your sign, so look out. You're going to be so much attracting, you know, your Venus is that attracting whatever, love, money, positive things. Some of you, definitely some love energy might be moving in together, or feels like this is really about maybe a location like a house or something. So there could be some kind of place that you're wanting to move, and you might hear, yeah, you got the house. Or something may show up on your, if you're looking to rent or you're looking to buy, something will show up in your search, and it's like you better hurry up and get down there, because it could be the ideal, they're saying an idyllic location. So you could really, really vibe with this location and this whole thing surrounding your home, but you've got to act fast, and eclipses, things could change in an instant. The other thing with you, Virgo, besides you're going to have Venus going into your sign, and it's going to stay for a while, starting on the 8th, you're going to have 3 days of Virgo in your moon also. But there's also going to be this Venus opposed Saturn here. Venus being in Virgo and Saturn being in Pisces, your opposite sign. So that's also going to be a major day if you're looking for love or some kind of love thing, if you're going to maybe sign up on a dating app or anything like that. This day of the 10th could be a very powerful day for that. As far as the eclipse on the 14th, it's going to be in your 2nd house of money and finance, so big strides can be made there. Initiatings of big new beginnings. Maybe with this card, maybe even a home-based business for some of you, Virgos. Okay, Libra, well, guess where the eclipse is? You're the star of the show. The eclipse is happening in your sign and going to be happening in your signs for a while. You could watch my month ahead where I talked about the other dates where it was, the tarot scopes for everybody. But this is definitely your time, big time stuff happening with you. Let me get a couple cards and then we'll see. Ooh, look at this. Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Swords. Beautiful. If there's ever a time, because the Wheel of Fortune is divine timing, if there was ever a time to initiate this new beginning, it's going to be on this eclipse. And I mean, I didn't have to throw the cards to tell you that, right? This is super, super powerful time new moon on steroids, new moon in your sign, solar eclipse in your sign on this date. But let's back it up a little bit because there's a few other things going on here too. On the 8th, when we have the Mars square Pluto, the Mars is coming out of your sign. The Mars is going to be in your sign until Thursday when it changes into Scorpio. So that's going to give you a lot of drive, ambition, energy. This Ace of Swords, you know, you can just go out there and just kill, you know, just accomplish anything. So that's also going to be really powerful. And then leading up to, the moon is going to move into your sign on the 12th at 8:22 p.m. and then it's going to be in there for the 4th, and then, or the 13th, and then of course the 14th for the new moon eclipse. I mean, this is just confirming the best possible outcomes for these eclipses, where we have, you know, the Wheel of Fortune, the timing, divine timing, and then the Ace of Swords, major breakthroughs, major victories. I mean, the ball is totally in your court. The eclipses are in your sign. Okay, next we're going to move on to Scorpio. And of course, Scorpio, you also are having a pretty big, other than the eclipse, I mean, the eclipse will affect everybody, but you're also having this kind of a bigger event happening as Mars moves into your sign. Now, some people will say Mars is a co-ruler. I don't really, I like to say the ancient ruler is more, but you do have an affinity with Mars. You know, I feel like Mars was the ruler until Pluto was discovered, is basically how it all went down. So once Pluto was discovered, I still don't really count Mars as a Scorpio planet, but many do, and there is somewhat of an affinity, as I said, with that. And then the very next day, on the 13th, Friday the 13th, you know, but Scorpios, you're not afraid of any of that. You know, you're not spooked by any of this, you know, bad luck of Friday the 13th, anything. Scorpio, you're right in there. And I'll tell you what, you know, Friday the 13th, I've had really good things happen on Friday the 13th, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. But on that day, Mars is going to trine Saturn. Mars coming out of Scorpio in your sign, just got in last night, going to be there one day in, still at 0 degrees, trining that Saturn. So wanting to work with the energy of Saturn, wanting to really establish some very long-term things. So get your plans together and then hit that manifestation when that new moon eclipse happens. I mean, you have, well, the new moon eclipse itself is happening in your 12th house. So could be a little subdued, or some would say maybe not as strong. But I would say, too, a big factor could be something from the past. Big time something from the past. Well, you are just in your element here. You've got the beautiful Empress energy and the moon energy. And the thing that kind of struck me right off about this is that they both have mother ties. You know, the Empress is the mother of the pregnancy, but Moon is also the mother. You know, in your zodiac chart, your Moon is your mother, if you ever knew that. Yeah, your Moon is how you see your mother in your natal wheel, your natal chart. So there is this whole thing about the mother. There's this giving birth. There's also this very much in the mode of receiving and this receptive energy, and also there's major abundance there. With the Mars, though, you're going to have that drive and ambition and that energy to get things done. Even though the eclipse is in the 12th, which sometimes can make you kind of lazy and hazy and different things, that Mars in the 1st is just the boost you need to really get things moving and really get things going. Okay, next we're going to move on to the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, what's happening for you? Nothing big, like directly in your sign, but you know, you're always affected. You're always affected by everything here. And the thing that, I'm going to put a couple cards first, get your cards going first here. The thing that gets me, that draws me in for you two, but you guys, I guess, you people, is the Venus opposed Saturn, because that's in the mutable signs here. That's going to be in your 4th and 10th house, but it's creating that square in the mutables, because you're over here, you're Sagittarius. So big time, you know, squares make things happen. Home and career. Big things could be happening. Some of you could actually be moving. And when I look at these two cards now, just the regular old, you know, explanation or whatever text that I usually use is, of course, the 3 of Rods. Your ships are coming in, and then, you know, you're going. But it's interesting that he sees the boat here, and then he's in the boat. You know, so this is something that you may have been looking out for, planning for some time. You've been waiting for it to arrive, and then you're in the boat. You're actually in there. It's not off in the distance anymore. It's right here on the shore, and you're just ready to take off and ready to go. I mean, it even looks, if you can see in this deck, there are a little bit of these little hills or mountains over here. So it's like, it could be the same person, and he's, maybe his hair's grown out a little, so maybe I'm waiting along. Your hair grew that much more the whole time and they're both wearing, it's a very similar headband too. And he's going in there. You know, it also looks like it's cold and he's wearing no shirt here. Maybe because he's getting the workout rowing the boat, but also it's because there seems to have been maybe a change of season, you know. And we just had the, you know, the Libra is always, it signifies that change of season because it's one of the cardinal signs. But then the Libra new moon here, the new solar eclipse, is up here in your 11th house. So that's going to be your 11th house of friends and associates and groups that you belong to. So if you've been eyeing something for a long time, if you've been looking at it and say, oh, I should go attend one of those meetings, or I should go out to that thing. You keep, this event keeps coming up and you're like, I should try to get involved with that. This is the time to get involved with this. This is the time to connect with new people. And for others, it just could be major success coming in. You know, you're really getting out of whatever you've been waiting for is really finally showing up and being a reality, not just some far off in the distance dream kind of a thing here. Okay, Capricorn, well, a lot going on for you too, because Pluto has been in your sign for years now, and it's been retrograde, but it's going direct. I feel like this 10th date, this is when Pluto goes direct. I feel like this is going to be really key for Capricorns as far as like just really getting things moving. That's been stalled, delayed. You're going to see things all of a sudden really start to move. I like the Venus in your sign too, because that's a harmonious trine. It's in your element of Earth, so that's also good. The eclipse itself is going to be over here, up in your 10th house if you're Capricorn rising, but it's definitely making that square. It's that cardinal stuff. So you being one of the cardinal signs, you're going to get that square, and squares make things happen. It makes you turn the corner. Some of you have been really in a funk or been suffering here with this Knight of Swords. You've been suffering, and this is talking about having strength and having patience. That's one of the meanings of it. You know, having strength and having patience. That this might not be over, but these eclipses really make things happen, especially when it's in a big square to your sign. But the other thing I want to say about this strength card is that Leo energy. You know, it's got the lion on it, and we are going to have that Leo moon. The Leo moon is going to be from the 4th. Excuse me, on the 9th. I keep seeing that 4th, but it's the 9th and the 10th. It's the 8th, 9th, and 10th. These first few days of the week, we are going to have that Leo moon, so you could definitely see something happen. And then that infinity sign, too, is grabbing me, so it could even be right here on the 7th. You could see your way clear, or what you've been, you know, and it's also telling me, like, be kind to yourself. I mean, you know, you're known to crack the whip there, Capricorn. You can crack that whip on yourself there, and you can be really hard on yourself. So have a little love, have a little patience. Try to be a little kind, not only to yourself but to others. And then that 8th thing too, I felt like that could have to do with these Saturn aspects, because Saturn 8 rules Saturn, and Saturn is your ruler as well. So the Saturn aspects, we have Venus opposed Saturn on the 10th at 1 degree of Virgo and Pisces, very much, you know, very much in the mix for you. This is your 3rd and 9th house. So this is communication and travel. And then we have the day before the eclipse, we have the Mars trine the Saturn. I really like that one. I really like this Mars trine the Saturn. And that's going to be the Mars in Scorpio, which is going to be over here in your 11th house, trining the Saturn in the 3rd. So hearing from people, or getting, and also it's don't spend too much time alone. Get into that interaction. Interact with others during this time. But big time, you know, big time new beginnings for everybody, including you, Capricorn. Okay, next we're going to move on to the sign of Aquarius. Well, Aquarius, let's see, any Uranian aspects? No. I don't think anything really huge is like directly impacting you either, but your 2 cards just wanted to fly right out. You're ready, you know, on this lunar event that's coming up, which is going to be the solar eclipse, which is a new moon, a lunar event, right? You're ready to move on. You're ready to leave this past behind. This is going to be, could be very emotional for a lot of Aquarians over here, okay? Because there's all these cups stacked up, and then we have the Knight of Cups, so this is some emotional stuff that you're really ready to leave behind and start a new chapter with this emotional stuff. Now, Pisces energy, well, we're not going to have, we're not having any water sign moons, but we're getting this action with the Saturn with the Pisces here. Venus opposed Saturn, and that's the same day that Pluto goes direct. I was going to say Pluto is your co-ruler, but it's totally not. I was getting it mixed up. Saturn is your co-ruler. That's what I was getting to, yeah. So these couple of Saturn times, and Saturn's in Pisces of the water signs. So I think they're kind of leading us into this Saturn energy. Venus opposed Saturn. Definitely could be a time for everybody of some kind of big emotional turning point, because it's Venus, right? And Pisces, Saturn's in Pisces, so there is this emotional content, I guess. Connection. So that could be a big date for you. And I think the Pluto going direct too in your 12th house. So maybe some hidden things, maybe things that you've maybe not been hidden, could be hidden for some, come to light and you're just like, I'm out. But it also could just be things that you've been kind of just pushing under the rug and letting slide and letting slide. And you're just like, you know what, I don't care how long I've put into this job or this relationship or whatever it is, or this house. It's time to go. And look at how here it's all dark and, you know, everything, like the rocks are kind of bare and there's a few little plants. But look where he heads to. You know, he heads to this beautiful place where it's all lit up and there's green pastures and everything like that. Yeah, the eclipse itself is going to be over here in your 9th house. So you absolutely could have some major awarenesses. It'd be a good time to travel, because this could be a travel card too. So definitely a good time to travel. But also maybe take a class or have some kind of, you know, sort of delve into some new ideas or new forms of thinking or thought, you know, along those lines. Okay, finally we have our Pisces friends. Well, you know, Saturn's in your sign, making aspects all week. We got we'll look at that in a minute. I want to get the 2 cards before I really dive into the astrology. You got Hangman and 3 of Cups. So whatever you've been waiting for, this eclipse is going to kick it into high gear. It's time to get out there and do it. Get back into action, get things back into gear. Saturn in your sign, Venus opposed Saturn on the 10th. So could be some situations, you know, this is going to be over here in your 1st and 7th house, and Venus is a relationship planet anyway. So there could be some karmic relationships when we tie in the Saturn energy. You know, you're purging a lot of karma with this Saturn when you're sign, right? Some karmic relationships, some things sort of maybe coming to a head. And then the Mars trine Saturn over here. Feeling really motivated. This is coming out of your 9th house into your 1st house, but feeling really motivated and raring to go, gearing up for the next day for this beautiful new moon eclipse. This is going to happen in your 8th house. So, I mean, Mars is sexual, 8th house is sexual, could be some sexual attraction if you get yourself out there with this 3 of Cups, get out there and mingle or whatever. But really, I'm feeling it could be financial too. Some kind of, we're making the deal. It feels like we're closing the deal, that's what I want to say. And Hangman, this is something that you've probably been waiting on for some time now. For 12, maybe even 12. Maybe since the 12th, but more likely like 12 days, 12 years, or 12 months, maybe a full year or something. This eclipse is really going to kick things into gear, and there's going to be definitely some reason to celebrate. If you're invited to any celebrations, parties, or events during these times, especially over this weekend, you should definitely attend. There could be some karmic things that show up, some kind of soulmate thing with these, you know, the 7th and 8th houses. These are our soulmates, and with Saturn in your sign, you're attracting these. And karmic isn't always bad, you know. Your soulmates, you have a karmic relationship with any soulmate that you are involved with in any capacity, okay? All right, everybody. Well, very exciting week of the 8th through the 14th. Again, I do this every week for my Patreon peeps, so I just wanted to give it, you know, show it to the rest of the public to, you know, can get a real idea of what it's all about. And so then next week we'll be going on this week, and we go and we go. And it's for $5.55 a month. You get this reading every week, going over the astrology and 2 cards for each sign. Thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you have a great eclipse. I am going to do a purely astrology reading, a psychic intuitive astrology reading on the eclipse. It may or may not be already posted, but you can check my channel for that. And otherwise, have a great week, Patreon peeps. I'll see you again next week. Till then, bye.